Hi guys, it's Mike and welcome back to the Carbon Fiber Nation. In our last video we talked about weave, zeros and 90s and 45s, and in this one I thought I'd kind of double back on that a little bit and explain to you why that matters and why you might want to use different directions in your actual laminate. So if you picture a strand, so carbon fiber is basically it's a fiber string. The thing that keeps it together and keeps it strong is the epoxy resin or vinyl ester resin or polyester resin that actually reinforces it. That's why sometimes you'll actually hear it referred to as carbon fiber reinforced plastics, which is the plastic refers to the resin system that's being used. And then the carbon fiber is the reinforced part. You can picture it as concrete with rebar. So the concrete's strong on its own, but the thing that keeps it together, keeps it from moving, keeps it from swaying is the rebar that's inside. So if you want to think about the actual strands of carbon fiber, once they're cured, you could picture basically a spaghetti noodle. So a spaghetti noodle, like a dried spaghetti noodle, is very strong when you're pulling on it. So when it's under tension, as well as it's really strong when you're pushing on it, but is not very strong when you have any sort of deflection. So if you're pushing on it from the side, you'll take a piece of spaghetti noodle and it'll just break in half, like a straw or something like that. So what you try to do when you're actually setting up your laminate is you need to determine where your stresses are going to be along the part. So if, let's say you were designing a hood, right? So we're gonna just kind of like, draw a really basic hood here. A lot of the stresses for the hood, especially if you get into an impact with a car or just opening and closing it and everything else, a lot of the stresses are going to go this way along the hood. So this, when you're determining the 0 and 90 orientations of your fibers, generally what we like to do is we like to say that the front of the car to the back of the car is your 0 line, right? So that would be the fibers that are going along the roll. And then this will be your 90, right? The ones that are going across the car. A lot of this can change depending on if you're actually worrying about pattern direction, but we'll get to that a little bit later. This is basically just showing you where your stresses are going to be on this particular panel. Now, they're not flat. If you think about the hood of your car, it's not flat. It's got contours, it's got shape, as well as it needs to hold itself rigid when you're opening and closing it. You don't want it to twist and everything else. So what you might end up doing is, let's say your hood's kind of shaped like this, right? If you have like an American car with a big V8, your hood might be shaped like this. Some European cars are kind of be more like this if you think about the front of a Porsche or something. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your 090 fibers that are going to be going along it, right, to give it overall strength. But in order to keep it from twisting, because again, this isn't very strong with torsion, right? That's also like, going in on an angle, it's not very strong that way. But if you notice, right, that's going on a 45. So what you'll generally do is you'll come up with a layup for your actual part that is equal in 090s and 45s going all the way through, and it's called a balanced layup. What a balanced layup is, basically it provides the maximum amount of strength to the part as well as avoiding deflection, because you have an equal number of 0s and 90s on the top half and the bottom half of the part. So to keep this as short as I would like to keep it, imagine your standard part is going to have, let's make it easy, 4 layers, right? So you're going to have your top layer, your middle layers, and your bottom layer. And what you're going to have to say is, okay, in order for this to be a balanced layup, we're going to have that as our middle point. So what you're going to say is, let's say this one is a 090 because you want the pattern direction going like this or going like this or something, as we talked about in our last video. And then the layer underneath that what you're going to want to do is a plus minus 45, right? Because that gives you your torsional stiffness, so it's not going to want to bend. But if you left it as that, it will bend on its own because you're going to have an imbalanced layup. So your part might deflect in the corners or something. It might curve on its own without you doing anything. In order to counteract that, you're then going to do a plus minus 45 on the next layer and then a 0.90 afterwards. And what this will do is it'll give you a balanced layup. It'll be nice and strong, and you're not going to have to worry about any sort of warping or any issues with the actual laminate. All right, so that will wrap up this video. I got a little bit more in depth than I was hoping to, but I figured it was information that you might want to have. So if you like the video, please leave a thumbs up and a like. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to hit the dislike button. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit that bell notification. That way you catch any of our future videos, and ask any questions you want in the comment section down below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can with as much information as you can. If you have any ideas for future videos, leave them down below as well. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And yeah, be nice to everybody and have a good one.